Hi, it's John, and welcome to the channel. 4:44 a.m. on Monday, February 24th, with the big blue mug of coffee. Hope you're having a great day today. And I have a question for you right off the top. Think about this for a moment. Do you believe the Liberal Party of Canada would sacrifice you as a Canadian taxpayer and the Canadian economy to maintain power in Canada? Think about that. I also have some questions for Mark Carney today because he's the big dog, folks. We all know that he's going to be the next leader of the Liberal Party and the next Prime Minister of the country. And who cares? It'll be interesting to hear what they say, but who really cares what Chrystia Freeland, Frank Baylis, and Karina Gould say in these two debates? Everybody's waiting to hear what Carney has to say. Little housekeeping before I move on. Thanks so much for watching yesterday's video. 39,000 plus have watched that one. I almost made it to 10,000 subscribers, so if you feel inclined today, please click on subscribe. It'd be a great accomplishment to get this channel over 10,000. Thanks so much for watching. I do appreciate it very much. The other thing I wanted to mention was yesterday I wasn't accurate. I made a mistake. Hannah Thibodeau, the former CBC host, will be moderating the English debate. That's going to work out well. Well, isn't it? Former CBC host talking to a bunch of Liberals on stage. So the question I asked you, do you think the Liberals would sacrifice you as a Canadian taxpayer and the Canadian economy to maintain power? Because I think that's their plan. I think it's been their plan ever since we started hearing about tariffs from down south. And I have a couple of reasons for thinking this. First, in about 10 days, we're supposed to have tariffs coming in. I think it's March 4th. I think that's the date. And have we fulfilled our obligations to Donald Trump and the Americans when it comes to securing our border? I haven't heard much about that. Trudeau's hasn't even been in the country. Who's running the country right now? But have we fulfilled our obligations? Are we going to find out in 10 days that Donald Trump says, you haven't done anything? I haven't seen any movement on the border. So your tariffs are coming in. I think the Liberals want to see that happen. And the other reason I think they want to see it happen is what we're going to see over the next couple of nights, because as well as hearing Pierre Poilievre, and that's what my video was about yesterday, how the CBC was involved in getting Ruby Dalla thrown out of the Liberal leadership race. She's the only person who would have spoken up on stage against Mark Carney. She's gone. But the other thing was, Poilievre better be prepared for an onslaught over the next couple of nights. He better be prepared because they're going to go after him big time. When you look at email that come in from the Liberal Party, and I get them all because I'm a Liberal Party member, they mostly talk about Poilievre, but Trump is the second name you see in their email. How critical are they going to be of Donald Trump tonight? How insulting are they going to be to Donald Trump tonight? Now, I don't believe Donald Trump wakes up in the morning thinking much about Canada, but I'll bet that he's going to have somebody watching this debate tonight, because one of those people on stage tonight is going to be the next Prime Minister of the country. And he's going to have to talk to that person. How insulting will these four people be on stage tonight? And it could be very insulting because, again, I think the Liberals are willing to sacrifice you and the economy to maintain power. And the best way for them to do that is to talk tough about Donald Trump. And strangely enough, and as awful as it sounds, having Donald Trump impose tariffs on the country. So think about that. Now, as far as Mark Carney goes, I have some questions for Mark Carney. Let's go over here to an article that's in the Toronto Sun today. A great article, by the way, written by Brian Lilly. Now, here it is right here. Carney, a threat to our economy, just like Trump. A big threat from Trump isn't just the tariffs, it's changing the American economy, something incoming PM Mark Carney won't be doing, meaning lost jobs. And it's a really good article on how Carney is going to be a nightmare when it comes to Canada with his plans. Now, if you go down here, here is a tweet from yesterday, February 23rd, 5:34 a.m. Let's read this. Let's put this in blunt terms for Canadians. If Trump reduces regulations and takes the corporate tax rate down to 15%, matching our effective rate, and we have Mark Carney and his industrial carbon tax, tariffs won't matter. We will be screwed. Here's Donald Trump.
To further turbocharge our economy, we have launched the most aggressive deregulation program in any nation's history. And we're also going to be seeking the largest tax cuts in American history. Again, we brought them down, as you know. from close to 40% down to 21%. Now we're bringing them down to 15% if you make your product in the United States of America.
It's a great article. I'll put a link in the description so you can read the whole thing. I think Brian Lilly has been really on his game as of late. He's doing great work. Let's go back to his article just quickly here. In Canada, we have a high regulatory burden, and our biggest trading partner and competitor for investments is about to have a much lower burden. That will make Canada less attractive to investment and to executives making decisions on where to expand or locate plants, the same on taxes. And if we go down here, a few weeks ago in Halifax, Liberal leadership hopeful Mark Carney announced he would get rid of the consumer carbon tax, but then said he'd make up the difference by increasing the industrial carbon tax. We will get the big polluters to pay for it, Carney said. So the big polluters are the big businesses. He's going to tax the bejesus out of them when it comes to the carbon tax. It'll probably go up every year like it has with your carbon tax every April 1st. But you're going to pay for it anyway. Plus, he's going to put tariffs on anything that comes into the country that doesn't live up to his climate change zealotry. And my question for Mark Carney tonight, if I were the moderator, maybe you would ask this question: are you still a proponent of net zero? No, I don't think anybody's asked him that question. Let's go back to his X account. I'm not sure if this is his actual X account right now, because he may have another one, because he's running to be the prime minister. But here he is. What's the date on this? February 26, 2021. Mark Carney. On the critical role of renewables and science-based targets in winning the race to net zero, please see my statement from Brookfield. And here it is right here. To be clear, I have always been and will continue to be a strong advocate for net zero science-based targets. Are you an advocate of net zero? Where does your allegiance lie, Mr. Carney? With rebuilding the Canadian economy, getting our renewables out of the ground, including oil and gas, or making money for you and your buddies when it comes to net zero? Because I think we need to have those questions answered. The guy was the special envoy on climate action and finance. He needs to answer the questions. Does he really think imposing carbon tariffs on things coming into the country is the right thing for Canada right now? You think Donald Trump is going to like that? He headed up a group, here it is right here, Glasgow Financial Alliance for Net Zero. What did they do? They discouraged anybody from investing, banks, in the oil and gas industry. That's what he's done. And Alberta, where I live, has suffered because of it. Canada has suffered because of it, because of this man. Where do you stand? Where do you stand on Energy East? Where do you stand on Energy East? Because it changes depending on where he's standing in the country. Out in BC, oh yeah, all for Energy East. They're calling it the West East Pipeline now. Out in Quebec, where the Parti Québécois and Bloc Québécois leaders are against oil and gas. They're climate cultists as well. No, and when he's speaking French, he's against the oil pipeline out here, out coming from the west to the east, even though Quebecers are in favor of it. So these are questions that need to be asked. Where do your allegiances lie, Mr. Carney? It's going to be interesting to see what happens and how he answers some of these questions. And what the other three say as well. I think that's going to be interesting. But watch for Trump, Poilievre to be bashed like you wouldn't believe over the next couple of nights. And then they'll put the crown on Mr. Carney, and he'll be the next Prime Minister of Canada. And who knows when the election's going to be. Hopefully sooner before later. Thanks so much for watching. I do appreciate it. If you like the video, please give me a thumbs up. Subscribe to the channel. Hit the notifications. I'm almost at 10,000 subscribers. And I'll see you in the next one.